It's the YouTuber demise is a weird thing to adjust to. Like when something like Boy in a Band happens, or when Pro Jared is a kid diddler, or when Super Mega gets canceled for some bullshit they really weren't involved in.
Right.
Who was the one guy? I didn't watch him, but I just remember when it went down because it was really big and it was like the first one. He was a younger dude. He was like 25, like Bieber style haircut, and he was messaging younger fans.
Was it a YouTuber? Or
yes.
what?
Yeah, it was a YouTuber. And he was messaging younger fans, like telling them.
His name's Austin something. Yeah, he was a singer.
Yeah, he was like telling like 13-year-old girls to send him videos of them twerking.
Yes, yeah, I remember that being on the news.
Because that for me was like that first big one that I was like, oh shit, like that's wild.
He was very much, and this is like probably like, no,
he was like YouTube
2014,
Justin
15.
Bieber.
Yeah.
Like
I think his whole thing was like he did either singing or lip syncing or something. I've never watched the guy.
No, I think he was
very
a
much,
singer.
He was very much aimed at a younger demographic, and kind of like we would watch a Fred or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But not comedy. And he got busted for fucking like messaging 13-year-olds and asking him to twerk and shit.
And like to the point, like he was sending them videos like, well, no, this is how you should twerk.
Well, who's the one Chris Hansen busted?
Oh God, I'm a banana.
Onision.
There it is. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Hansen did Onision?
Oh, dude.
Onision's been busted like
the
10
911 call from Onision is fucking great.
Yeah,
I
because
believe that.
like and it's funny because it'll randomly pop up in clips on my YouTube shorts, and he's just like, yes, I'm being stalked because I make a living being on the internet, and I need police here now. And they're like, oh, okay, do you know who's stalking you? Like who's outside your door? And you hear them pounding on the door, and he goes, yes, it's Chris Hansen. Like it's so good. But yeah, because Chris Hansen literally, like this was in his little lull before True Blue and his YouTube channel. So it's kind of like chubby Chris Hansen. So he's like just standing outside knocking on the door. He's like, whatever his real name is. He's like, I just want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I just want to speak to you and get your side.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's like, I'm not opening up the door. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. And then so the police, if I'm not mistaken, he had an officer with him already.
Yeah. Yep.
But the police show up on Onision's call, and then they see Chris Hansen there, and he's like, no, this guy's a fucking pedophile.
Well, yeah, because he was grooming, he had like a 19-year-old girlfriend, and then he was grooming a 16-year-old.
I honestly don't know any of the backstory with Onision.
I can't remember the commentary channel that I watch, but once in a while I'll see it pop up. And I'm like, all right, well, let's watch it. Like, let's see how much of a freak this guy was. And it's something along the lines of like, he was with he had met the girl that he was with currently when she was 17 and he was over 18, groomed her, made her stay there, said we need to bring in this person who's a huge fan at 15. The girl ran away from home, was living with him. And I could have my details mixed up. Don't quote me on any of this.
No, you're fine.
And then tried to kick the first one out and moved that 16-year-old. Like, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. And he would be like, he would basically beat the shit out of them and then scream at him and like just beat them down mentally and physically. It was insane.
It's crazy that he's been caught multiple times.
Well, it's like who's the Eagles guy, the big fat black guy?
Oh, dude, what's
EPD or something like that?
Oh,
yeah.
That's who I'm thinking of. I'm not Onision. I'm thinking of him.
Yeah, no, Onision, I'm pretty sure that was like the end of him was when Chris Hansen finally got involved. Because there were other people that tried to bring him down, and Chris Hansen ended up being like the last call.
Right.
But no, EPD has been caught by a bunch of different, like notable guys too.
Yeah.
What was the one? He's like, man, I'm just trying to take my cupcakes and go home to my mom. I gotta call my mom, and they're like, you're not calling your mom. Like you just straight up like, no. Why are you trying to meet young girls?
There was one where he hid in like a fucking. He hid in the hospital because he was going there for a diabetes checkup or something like that.
Yeah.
And they caught him coming out, and so he went back in, and the hospital's like, you can't stay here. You have to go.
I went down that rabbit hole of like To Catch a Predator style content and like people doing it on their own and shit. And I got to a point where I felt like, I was like, man,
I could do this.
Well, no, it's just like predators are probably watching this. Like there are probably predators who are watching that.
But they still fall for it.
Well, yeah, but I just think it's weird that this kind of content is like out there. I don't know. It seems like, and I get it. There is a place for it, and it's good. I don't disagree with that in the slightest. It's so like, I don't know, partially jarring to me, I guess, to be like, damn, we're really just out, because like some of them you can really see them going on like this guilt, like psychological guilt trip. Like they're unpacking that trauma in like a 30-second, like you're coming up on it like, hey, I know you're coming, and they're like, oh fuck, here we go. You know,
there was one I used to watch. He doesn't make content anymore because I guess he just ran out of money. But it was Minor Defense Force. It was this fat dude, and he had like a legit crew, and they would live stream it. So it wasn't even edited. They would live stream it, and it'd be crazy. It'd be a 5-hour live stream.
Yeah,
because they started at 7:00. They're hanging out at the sheets.
Yeah,
right.
And they're waiting for this guy to come, and there would be times they wouldn't come until midnight, and you're just watching this live. Like I would get sucked into that. I'm like, well, this fucking guy's got to show up. Like, I mean, he's committed. Like, you know what I mean?
The drama's there.
Oh yeah,
it's
but the
content.
fact that there's that many fucking people like that, that you can have thousands of channels like that is very frightening.
Right.
I love those videos. Like, I love watching that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is addicting to me because I watched through all of To Catch a Predator in like a week and a half just because I fell into the whole of it.
Right.
Then it goes to, was it Takedown with Chris Hansen was the next one?
Yep.
And now he's on True Blue. And I burned through all of the Chris Hansen so fast that I'm like, all right, time to start watching other people doing it.
Yeah.
And like, they're very hit or miss. Because there's a handful of them that I watch regularly that do it correctly. So like CPP, Colorado Ped Patrol, that dude's fantastic. He's got like 300 something arrests. Sick. And he has a professional crew that go out there and do it, and he live streams them.
That's pretty
like
cool.
you said. He does it. There's a dude who I think he himself is hit or miss. It's Gordon Flowers is the channel.
Yeah.
He's very good at getting them to talk, and they're like 3-hour videos where he like tries to be buddy just so he can get the confession out of them.
Sure.
And will get as much as he can. But his aren't always, ending in arrest, which I think is, the goal.
Right.
There's a dude, 0 Day, who does like all the hackers and shit, started a channel not long ago where he does them. He does it very well. So like there's a handful. I don't like the Skeeter guy, Skeeter Gene. Because his whole gimmick is he tries to act like Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
Like he does the voice and the have a seat, and he calls himself Skeet Hansen.
That's
like,
kind of annoying.
It's very hokey, but I'll give him that they do work with the police to arrest the guy at least.
Right.
That's good.
So like there are a handful of them that do it very well.
Right.
And I'll go on binges of like watching 8 episodes for 9 hours or something like that.
So the one channel I watch, Mr. Gigi, so Mista with an A. He did a whole To Catch a Predator Chronicles where he like commentates each like season, and he's got like 20 different because he goes through,
I've seen those. Okay,
and, and he goes more in depth on the chat log. So he'll be like,
and he goes into like the booking stuff.
Yeah,
too,
and he'll be like, oh, Chris, you always say that, we can't read the chat log, and then he'll like be like, he'll hold a piece of paper and these are fucking disgusting. And then he'll like, well, he said this and this and this. And you get like more of that in-depth kind of look at, the predators that we know.
I think
so it's pretty good.
That's the other thing that I got to too. It's like I got to a certain point where I was like, this is just
gross.
Yeah, this is just gross. Like,
right.
I just feel yucky watching. Like I need to be done watching this. I'm cool.
I can watch the fuck out of some interrogation videos though.
See, I've been getting into those a lot.
Good. Interrogation, like where they break down the interrogation. Those are really good. I can get down with those for sure.
That's been my latest binge.
Well,
and every so often I'll go through them.
Those are good.
The one I sent you and you were like, dude, I watched that a day ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Exactly what we were talking about.
Oh, dude, they're so good because I like watching them because you obviously know that they're guilty.
Right.
So you start watching, you're like, all right, when do they realize?
Yeah, that's the fun part, is seeing when they break.
Right. Because like, and it's always that one officer that comes in and he sits down and he goes, so you're going to tell us because we know.
We know, we know.
We know. We just need you to tell us how it happened because we know what you used. We know where they are now. We found them.
But see, the thing is, and I think the reason, and it might be the same for you, the reason I got to those videos is because I was watching the predator catching videos. I feel like that's when they started getting recommended, is when I started running out of like CPP videos.
Yeah.
And so I start watching those, and I still, it's a weird subsect of them. I like watching the ones with like high schoolers and kids because they're
Bro.
so fucking off the wall.
Yeah.
Dude, me
They just-
too.
yeah.
They're unsettling.
Yeah.
And especially the kids, and it's the craziest thing because you can see with the kids when the switch happens.
Yeah.
Because they'll be sitting there and I don't know if they think it's just a camera and there's no microphone, so they'll be like, all right, gotta make sure I cry.
Yep.
Gotta make sure I cry. I miss my mom.
Yeah.
And then like the officer walks in and they're like, did you find her? And it's like, you fucking psychopath.
But see,
like that's insane.
Yeah.
those ones, Shane, I have more of the okay. I'm grossed out now. Like things like that, I'll watch 6 or 7 in a row and be like, oh no, I'm
Yeah.
invested and I can't turn this off. And then one will come on where I'm like, oh, this is grody. I don't
No.
want to hear
Yeah.
this one.
That's another one where I think it probably takes more for me because those people, that's just one of those situations where they're crazy people and you caught them young, you know, like
Right.
that's good. This is crazy people that you caught when they're older and they've probably been doing this
Yeah.
for
I'm
a
trying-
while and there's like a system behind it that you have to
Yeah.
hire a professional team to dive into this system and, you know,
The one there was I was watching those like every day.
it feels
For a
dark
while.
netty is
Yes,
what it is.
yes.
And the last one I watched, it was like maybe a month and a half ago, and I had to like, all right, I got to cool it on these.
Which,
It was 3 13-year-old girls,
yeah.
and the one killed the other.
Oh,
I've seen this.
I've seen
And
that.
I've
And,
yeah.
seen
like-
this.
And it literally was like, well, her window was open, and you guys
Mhm.
stole a car. We have the video of the car you guys stole. No, you didn't drop her off.
Mhm.
Yes, we did. Yes, no, we did. We did. And the one broke. And then that's when the detective walks in and he's like, so you need to tell us because we know where her body is because the other person told. So you can either tell us nothing, we'll believe them, or you could save your ass. And then just listening to them explain it. And for me, like at 13, and you're just like, yep, that's that's what we just beat her in the head with a rock. And you're
Right.
like, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Dude.
And it's so
Right.
emotionless every
Right.
time.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, dude.
Like that's
And the
for
weird
me,
part-
that's when I was like, all right, I gotta take a break.
So the weird part is I don't like true crime. And I feel like we've
Yeah.
all
I don't
discussed
either.
this.
Yeah, neither do
Yeah.
I.
I don't like true crime. I don't like watching like the NCSI shows or
Yeah.
things like that or the
Right.
documentaries, right? But I'll watch The Catch of Predators and I'll watch these interrogations. And recently, I've been watching like body cam arrest shit
Dude,
of
I love
like,
body
and that's
cam.
just like this past week. I've been watching
Yeah.
like
I haven't
crazy
seen-
people getting body cam
Yeah.
arrested.
I don't watch that much body cam, but I wanted to go into darknet a little bit and just like that whole side because that's like the
You want me to say the line?
say it.
Okay. Every time we talk about the darknet, I have to remind everyone that the internet that we use only takes up 3% of all internet, and we barely get past page 1 of Google before we give up looking. So really, we're using a decimal of the open internet. And again, that decimal is only part of 3% that makes up the open internet. The other 97% we will not touch or don't dare go to.
But
I
like,
do. That's where I buy my uranium.
But like watching the videos of the people,
35, baby.
the people going through the darknet is like, oh man, this is some of this stuff is genuinely like
I've watched a
unsettling.
lot of those.
Yeah, those are another one where it's like I watch 2 or 3 of those and I'm like, okay, I'll take a break now.
Real quick, do you guys remember the little phenomenon that happened in like 2015 to 2017 where every fucking movie had to do with the dark web?
I do remember that being like
Yeah.
thrown into things.
Yeah.
Just
It'd
like
be
like-
shoehorned in.
Oh my gosh, what happened to Cindy? I don't know.
She was
But
on the
her
dark web.
necklace is for sale on the dark web.
Yeah,
It's
things
like,
are always for sale on the dark web.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I watched a lot of the dark web videos, and basically homeless. It's not even like the dark web videos that are like, oh, I'm gonna show you me scrolling and all the sites I can go through. I can watch those and be
Mhm.
fine, right? It's gross,
Mhm.
and I don't want to go there,
Right.
but it's fine. I can watch people buy mystery boxes and shit from the dark web, whatever.
Sure.
Those shits are so
Those are
fake,
so
though.
dumb. NWO guy, whatever his name is. But the ones that get me are basically homeless and 0 Day, and I think Trilogy Media all did videos like this where I'm gonna go on the dark web and I'm gonna type in my phone number or I'm gonna type in my name
Yeah.
and see what comes up. And like there was so 0 Day develops software. He makes like pretty much anti-hacking software. He tries to defend against this kind of shit, right?
Right.
So he made an app and he did an interview with it. I forget the guy. I wish I knew the the interviewer's name because it was a really good interview, but he made an app that basically you can scan, take a picture of someone's face, and search the dark web results, and it'll pull up not even pictures, but like just by your face, it'll pull up your social security, your credit cards, your emails, your passwords.
Terrifying.
Yeah, well, that's the shit that creeps me out.
That's
and so
terrifying.
basically, Homeless did a video. Is like, well, I'm going to go on the dark web and I'm going to give people my information. And so what he did was set up a fake machine attached to a brand new laptop. So he had a virtual machine running to go on it.
Yeah.
Obviously, a VPN, a Tor browser.
Right.
Gets on the dark web and bought a burner phone from Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Bought a Visa credit card from Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And his home screen was a picture of the credit card front and back.
Yeah.
And a note on the home screen that had his phone number on it. And he just opened up a bunch of links, didn't touch his computer, and waited for people to get to his home screen and find his shit.
Wow.
So obviously they blew up his phone and they tried to max out the credit card, only had $10 on it or whatever, right?
Right.
But then he makes a follow-up video like 3 days later. He's getting mail sent to his house and like emails on his personal and texts on his other number that isn't registered with all that shit.
Wow.
Of like, hey, no, I found out all this stuff because I decrypted your VPN and saw your actual IP and tracked all this shit.
Right.
And now you're going to have to pay me.
That's so
I'm like,
insane.
as much as I want to talk to someone who can get to the dark web and walk me through it,
Yeah,
I don't want
right.
to see any of it.
Well, dude,
I don't
you
want it on
can-
my Wi-Fi.
You can just Google somebody's name and you can find all that shit out.
Yeah.
Like I remember it freaked me out because, well, and you have to remember, like Ancestry.com.
Sure.
Like you
Yeah.
can find out all that shit.
Yeah.
But like you can just type in somebody's name, and if you go 3 pages in, you could probably find out who they voted for in the last 3 elections.
Sure.
And because you could look at the voter registration, you can find out their address, you can find out their phone number.
I mean, you can buy a background search, quote unquote, on someone for like $1.99
Right.
on a lot of these sites too.
Right.
But like, you shouldn't be able to go online and find my Wi-Fi password in my password of a Gmail account I had 6 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you can hire a private investigator to do all this same stuff, you know? Like this is all the kind of stuff that a PI could do back in the day.
Right.
And now it's just like go on the dark web and
Well,
you can
what's-
probably get these answers.
What's the
with a couple
website?
clicks.
Dude, the internet's terrifying.
Right, right.
What's the website that they like they advertise? They're like, hey, don't know where your stuff is? We'll find it and delete it for you.
I've never seen that.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I've heard that on the radio.
Mm.
And I can't remember what it was, but literally like their whole thing is like, we do an internet background check on you. We find what it is, you know, what's still out there, what's still being used.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, tell us, we'll get rid of it.
Well, it's funny. I was literally talking to someone last night, and it's not so much a thing on iPhones because, like, you can do it. It's just not as blatant. But, like, if someone sends you a picture on an Android, you can just open it and look at the metadata.
Yeah, dude.
You can see where that thing came from.
Yep.
Right.
And that's a crazy concept that I didn't, like, think about until I had an
Right.
Android. I was talking to someone last night, and it was just a picture of my friend.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the question was, well, it's a silly picture. Who took the picture? And they go, oh, I don't know. Let me check the metadata real quick. I'm like, you really just did that to someone
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, imagine if that wasn't just like a picture of my friend.
Right.
Right.
Imagine if like you sent me something and it was like a fake scam thing and I could trace it back now.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
insane to me.
Well, that's why like I don't really fuck with my location being on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything
They have it anyway, so I don't need to
Right.
turn
right.
it on.
But
Right.
like anything I go to that's going to involve a location, I use DuckDuckGo.
Always use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Because it'll ask you like, do you want to let them use your location? You can select never, only this session. Like, yeah, DuckDuckGo is, I mean, they already have all of it, but it's cool to like think you have that option.
As much as we grew up in the internet age, I know frighteningly little about the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm bad with computers in general.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like, as soon as I get to talking to T-Mobile about my fucking internet, and they're like, "Well, did you reset your DSN?" I'm lost.
Yeah.
That's where you've lost me. They're asking me about ports, and I'm like, "There's only 2 ports I see." And they're like, "Not the USBs." I'm
You're
like,
like,
I don't
fuck
know.
your DSN.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, man. I had to talk to a certain service provider the other day
Oof.
because they were telling me my internet was the problem, and I kept reiterating to them, my internet is not the problem because nothing else in my house is having this problem. And But, which is broadcast using this tool, it just sends metadata essentially to your streamer.
Right.
had been running for over 100 hours. So I'm like, it's clearly not my internet that
Right.
is causing this issue.
Right.
So they made me run a ping test and everything, and I sent them back the results, and they go, oh no, you have 100% loss at every ping. I'm like, I physically cannot because I'm showing you I'm online.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll elevate it to the next level or whatever. So they get back to me and they're like, oh no, your whatever service provider you're using has a protective firewall on your internet's output, and that's what's
Ooh.
making it look like it's 100% drop. And I'm like, that's not a thing I knew existed until this conversation.
Wow.
And I
That-
feel like
yeah.
I should.
Yeah. That is something that you definitely should have known about
Yeah.
prior to.
I mean, it's a good thing.
yeah, right.
Right,
It's not a
yeah.
bad
Like-
thing. It's just interesting
Yeah.
that you were not made aware of that.
Wow.
It's like Evan's computer. So every so often he'll edit Pigeonhole or his Beyond Bounds, and he'll email me about some issue he's having, and I'm terrible explaining things,
Sure.
like computer-wise. So I just hop on TeamViewer and I take control of his computer and show him what needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
And every time his computer terrifies me because he has no knowledge, and he'll be the first to admit it of computers. Everything saves to his desktop multiple times over. He doesn't know where anything is.
Sick.
Doesn't know what viruses can do and are. So like I open up his computer and his McAfee fucking security thing
Yeah.
keeps popping up.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't you turn that thing off? He's like, well, I don't know how to turn it off. I uninstalled it already. So I go into his actual Google browser and take it out of there
Right.
and uninstall it properly. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm like, well, you can use, because he was looking to use some kind of MP3 converter. I'm like, use this one and hit this download button so you don't install the virus.
Yeah, don't hit the wrong one.
Yeah. So he starts downloading things and opens up another window, and he's like, what do I do on this window? I'm like, exit out.
Close it.
Don't use that window.
Yeah.
That's why your McAfee keeps going up.
Whoa.
So I'm afraid that like even using TeamViewer is going to affect my computer.
Yeah, no, I'm one of those save everything to the desktop guys.
Oh,
but
Jake.
no, but I put it in a folder later.
Okay.
So like if I'm editing like a show or something, I'll have all 4 segments on my desktop, and then once I know they're sent, because this way it's just easier to click and drag, put in the email instead of I'm gonna browse for it. No, fuck that. So I'm like, all right, I'll just put that in the folder, whatever. But I just think it's easier. But I do have like people will see my desktop and they're like, oh my God, your computer has to be so slow. Like, how can you even function like that? And it's like, how do you find anything?
Shane, you did coding for a little bit, right?
A little bit. Not a lot of it. I was very bad at it.
Not a lot of it.
I came into the class not realizing that prior knowledge was probably needed. And
Fair.
so I got on the bus the first day, and there was a kid who was like, Shane, he's like, Shane, I didn't know you were coded. And I was like, I don't. I'm about to go learn. Like,
I'm here to learn.
That's what I'm going to this school that you're going to for.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn to code. He's like, most of those kids in that class are probably going to like have been coded for like multiple years of their life. And I was like, nah. And then I got to the class, and everyone had been
They're
coding.
like, all right, open up Python. And you're like, what?
All
Yeah.
of the girls had long hair. It was covering one eye.
Oh,
One
it was an
black
all boys class. It was
Oh.
an all boys class.
Really?
I don't see
Yeah.
any female coders in that
Yeah,
picture.
it was an all boys class. The teacher was a girl, and she asked the whole class. She was like, "So has everyone like who all have coded here in the past? Like, raise your hand." And everyone except for me raised their hand, and I was like, "Well, I'm fucked."
There we go.
Yeah, flunked out. But I did do a little bit of coding, and I thought I wanted to be like a hacker guy
Right.
and like learn how to do that
Yeah.
sort of shit. It was fun, but I
It
don't
would
know.
be cool to know.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's why I asked him. Like, did they ever show you anything about coding for non-clear web shit,
No,
or like theoretically how it would work?
no. I mean, at least I never made it that far. It was all very basic programming.
How
shit.
to make a WordPress page?
Yeah, how to well, not even that, just like how to make like Python programs and shit like that.
Well, like the crazy thing is like some of the AI websites teach you how to do code.
Yeah. I wonder if ChatGPT will still write me a code.
Ooh.
Probably.
Preceding program is a StylesRebelRadio.com production.